If you start yawning, etc., there are two reasons. One, you did not sleep enough the night before. Two, you have something wrong. Okay? Three, it's very boring to be here, which is also a possibility. So, one other thing, I don't know why does it go.
Yeah.
Why does it go so?
You put it
Okay, I pick the teacher. So.
Okay.
Why did you? Okay, I don't want to.
No. Okay.
I want to be back. Okay.
Okay.
So sometimes people do things. You are driving, you are on the freeway, and then you say, "Oh, I was supposed to turn 3 minutes ago to go out, and I missed. I didn't think about it." That's called automatic behavior. When you have difficulty to concentrate, when you have difficulty to put everything in memory, you can have also morning headache. You can have, and that's one of the most important problems. You can have. No, that's okay. You can have learning problem and memory problem. If you don't sleep well, you are not going to learn well. Students always believe that if they don't sleep the night before an exam and spend the night reading, they are going to do better. That's wrong. Why? It's because when you sleep, you put what you learn in a long-term memory. If you don't sleep the night before an exam, you are going to do worse than if you had slept the night before. You will think better. But people are stupid. Students are stupid. And they believe that, oh, I'm going to learn at the last moment. No. If you don't sleep, you are not as good. So you have also maybe progressive development of high blood pressure. You may have depression. Also, one other thing that men do not want to acknowledge, you are going to have sexual dysfunction and particularly difficulty to have erection and difficulty to have ejaculation. So at night, what can you do? You have snoring. You may move a lot more, turn, toss. You may complain of insomnia, or you may complain of too much sleep. You may wake up in the middle of the night to go and urinate a lot.
And if you only have
you may wake up and have to go and urinate a lot, or sometime, particularly if you are a younger individual, you may bedwet, and you may also sleepwalk or sleep talk. All these things are abnormal. If I looked at you, about 1/3 of you start saying, like that, they yawn. Do you know what yawning means? Yawning means that you did not sleep well enough last night. Yawning is a breathing problem which tries to wake you up. Okay? So I can see all of you who have not slept enough last night. So what do we know that this problem leads with? It's a problem which is really a very nasty problem, because when you are going to be in your 30s or 40s, you are going to have high blood pressure. When you are in your 50s, you are going to have a stroke. You are going much earlier to have difficulty to have erection and ejaculation. You may sleepwalk on a chronic basis. You may grind your teeth. It's called bruxism. You may complain of insomnia. And you may have depression, which is not a big problem. And that's very well demonstrated. For example, how do you develop high blood pressure? Okay? Well, it's a pretty complicated system. Let me show you why. You see here, we have the blood pressure, which is measured here in femoral artery, and here we put a tube between the heart and the lung in the pulmonary artery. And you see, at bedtime, everything is normal. You have a normal blood pressure, okay? And then you have repetitive apnea, and you can see that after 4 hours, the blood pressure went. You see, it was about 120 over 80. Now it's 160 over 110. That's really bad. But that's only during sleep because you have this repetitive apneic event and oxygen saturation. How come something which happened only during the night is going to have a 24-hour impact? Well, it's because we live 24 hours a day, and you have senses. You have senses all over your body. And these senses, even if you stimulate them only during the night, they are going to what we call reset. They don't respond at a normal level, they reset, and they are going to become hyperactive, not only when you sleep, but also during the daytime. And that's a big problem, because what happened during sleep is going to have an impact during the 24 hours. Okay? So they are saying that we strongly suspect there have not been enough information, but we're saying that sleep apnea leads to heart attack, abnormal heartbeat, something which is not good, I call atrial fibrillation, and that kills you. Ventricular arrhythmia, you die abruptly during your sleep. There are also, and that's much more important, defects which happen in your brain. You have a greater and greater difficulty to think. You have a greater difficulty to be awake. Right now, you know, there are about 5% of you who are completely asleep in the room. Why? Because they didn't sleep well enough the night before, and probably 20% of you cannot think very well because they have not slept well enough the night before. So you go to school. You go to school to learn. And then you put a handicap on you, and your learning is going to be less, and your grades are going to be less, because, do you know why? It's because when you sleep, your brain never stops. But what you learn during the day, you are going to put it in a long-term memory during the night. If you don't have enough sleep, you are not going to put anything in your long-term memory. A waste. Okay? Remember that. You want to pass the exam. So, this, and we have done a lot of study. We do now what is called magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, and we can do functional MRI. At Stanford, we looked at people who have obstructive sleep apnea with that, and we do memory tests. And we show that their neurons decrease. They don't find the same. And in Italy, they show that if you have too much of this problem, your brain becomes atrophic in some very specific region. So it's a big problem. So some people say that also there is a risk factor for what is called metabolic syndrome. Some of you are going to become fat, and fat is no good. And it's because you have an abnormal metabolism. If you have an abnormal metabolism, you are going to have a greater risk of diabetes type 2. There is something which is now nearly well demonstrated is inflammation. What is inflammation? Arthritis, but also plaque, arterial plaque in your blood vessel, which lead to stroke, will lead to high blood pressure, will lead to cardiovascular disease. So you see, this is a really very serious disease because it has a lot of consequences, and starting 40 years of age, it may kill you or it may make you unemployed. There is one thing I mentioned, to be fat is not very good. Some of you, some of the population are going to become overweight and obese. People who are overweight.
Can I translate?
Okay.
Yeah. 就是跟大家讲一下，就是刚刚西基教授到现在讲的，之前他讲的就是关于呼吸的部分。呼吸的部分，其实在小孩子的部分，他主要讲的就是像刚刚那个小孩子，他就是扁桃腺大，所以他的呼吸来讲，就是你在呼吸的口的地方就是变得非常的狭窄，变得非常狭窄之后，他肚子那边就会起伏非常的大。然后之后来讲的话，就是那个小孩子后来他把扁桃腺开掉之后，他的症状就解除了。然后西基教授他现在在讲的就是那个睡眠呼吸中止啊，当你睡觉睡不好的时候，像刚刚他在讲说，如果其实来讲，一个人最好晚上起码要5到6个小时以上的睡眠。可是如果当你睡觉睡不够的时候，就是说你的长期的，比如说像大家来讲的话，就是他刚刚提到，就是考试的时候为什么要睡觉，就是但是牵涉到说你要把一些短期的记忆转成长期的记忆，所以来讲的话，你考前不念书，反而来讲的话，就是你考前想说啊，我赶快就是晚上熬夜啊，赶快把书念，可是拍谁这些你可能就是念了之后，你要考试的时候之前念的就全部忘记了。他就是说在美国有很多研究就是显示说，当你考前的话，就是有睡觉的话，跟你考前没有睡觉，发现来讲的话，就是有睡觉那一组的话，就是东西就是记忆就可以转成长期记忆，没有睡觉那一组的话就不行。然后另外的话就是说，他刚刚讲到的是心血管的部分来讲的话，就是因为睡觉会引起发炎反应，所以来讲的话就是。它还是会引起心血管疾病跟心血管疾病，就是他刚刚讲的会引起一些不管是你的就是关节炎啊，还是血管内的阻塞等等，这些来讲都会引起心血管跟心肌梗塞。另外的话就是说跟你的那个记忆的反射也有关系，比如说像刚刚来讲的话，他就提到就是大家就是如果说现在来讲，大概5% 在课堂上的人就是睡着了。然后另外的话，大概有1/5的人的话，就是脑筋没办法反应这样，就好像都在那边呆呆的这样子。这个其实都跟晚上没睡好是有关的这样子。
Just a second， 这样子。我看一下，最后再介绍啊，那谢谢林医师啊，是星光医院睡眠中心的主任啊，大家常在电视上看到他，他也是我们学校医学院的老师。好，那他今天来帮我们口译是很难得啊，因为我们2位台湾的睡眠权威跟国际的睡眠权威都在这里。那请 please。
Okay, well, you may translate at some time. One other thing is that if you are overweight or obese, you are going to have a much greater chance not to breathe well when you sleep. Why? It's because you are not a horse. You don't sleep standing up. You sleep supine. And if you have a big belly, when you go supine, the belly goes up, and it reduces the space for the lung. Okay? So if you are a belly, you push up your diaphragm and you decrease your lung volume. The second problem is that when you become fat, you have cells which are called adipocytes or fat cells, and they are a bit like cancer cells, meaning that once you have too many, they never completely disappear. So that's one reason why you should stay normal weight, because otherwise all your life they are going to have a tendency to multiply even when you lose weight. And these cells are like endocrine glands. They send peptide, and these peptides go to your brain, go to your heart, go to your guts, etc. And they control. There are many peptides. There are at least 10. They are called leptin, ghrelin, obesin, etc. They control how much you want to eat, and they have interaction